Hi, this is Tim Weaver from CMVG. I'm here with, in a confusing turn of events, another Tim Clark. How you doing, Tim?
Not too bad, thanks, Tim.
Good. So, it's a bit weird, but
hello to any Tims listening. Also,
but Crysis 3, you played it at E3. You're the man to tell us how it stacks up.
yeah, I spent quite a bit of time with it at E3. Actually, it was the PC build that I played. It was also the only game that I saw at the show that was being demoed in 3D as well. Actually, there wasn't a single other 3D game there. But yeah, like I said, it was the PC version I played. I used a gamepad because that's all I understand. And how it felt to me was really kind of like the Crysis game that they probably set out to make last time around and run out of time to do. It felt incredibly polished. The weapon set was really kind of playful and kind of punchy. By that I mean that the dudes weren't like bullet sponges who you had to kind of unload like an entire kind of Korean arsenal's worth of weaponry into before they go down.
So how do the bow and arrows feel in comparison to the guns of the previous Crysis? Because they look in this footage alone, they look pretty powerful.
They are powerful, and they're obviously there to kind of prevent the stealth side of the game feeling underpowered, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're using it in combination with your kind of Predator and Visi suit. They've got a decent range. They're relatively easy to track in, I guess, with a little bit of auto aim. So you cock the bow, and then there was a button so you could uncock it without firing if you'd made an error. But I found myself sort of playing it. I'm not great at stealth, so it kind of went loud quite quick, and I found myself working through all the kind of different weapons on offer. There was one which had, I think, a rate of fire of 600 rounds a second or something. I think it was called the Typhoon. They showed off 3 new weapons. I think that was one of them. There was also a Ceph weapon, which was kind of lobbing these sort of pink explosives, were a bit reminiscent at times, but as I found. But yeah, you're playing in Manhattan and other cities around the US have been kind of domed over as a way of locking the alien, what remains of the alien threat in. So you're in this kind of I don't know if Water World would be the right reference.
But it's been overrun by...
Yeah, it's kind of full of it's like Manhattan, ruined Manhattan does tropical.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably worth pointing out this is running on a PC the size of a small city, so it looks amazing. But it'd be interesting. Did you play it on? You said you played it on PC rather than on so it's difficult to say.
Unsurprisingly, they weren't showing the console versions.
I mean, they obviously won't look as good as this, but Crysis 2 was no slouch in the graphics department, so maybe it'll stack up. But it's interesting the relationship between, because now we're back onto guns, and in the sort of the sort of build up to this demo before E3, they really emphasised how the bow and arrow was going to play such a big part of the game. But I don't know, it just looks like it's been reverted. It's reverted back to.
It felt more like it was there just to have like something new in to tinker around with. I didn't feel like it was an essential part. I mean, bear in mind I played like a half-hour chunk, so maybe there's other bits that rely on it more heavy. This was you had to kind of. You're being kind of fed these mission goals as you go along, and you had to go in and blow up something that damaged the Seth somehow, reduced their shield capacity to 60%. I can't remember, but that was the gist of it. But what I felt was the structure of it seemed to be much more kind of it seemed to flow much more nicely than Crysis 1 did, which felt quite uneven to me at times.
Yeah,
it just seemed like really slick and blockbustery, which is what kind of gave me that impression that it had that sense of the finished article, whereas 2 was a bit more a rush to get out the gates. And I think Crytek, by their own admission, said that having it do the PS3 and 360 versions was a bit of a struggle for them to come to terms with getting their engine running on that tech.
I guess the big question is how this is going to stand out against an absolute raft of other shooters at the show. I mean, the overriding theme of the show is people getting stabbed in the throat, things getting destroyed, things blowing up a lot, lots of people dying, and it's how do you think this stands out other than the fact that it looks amazing?
It's obviously got the looks, but I think the other thing in its favour is, well, there's 2 things really. One is that the weapon set is really good, and the second is that your own abilities as Prophet, you've got the hardened nano skin, you've got the kind of the invisible suits. I can just see the hardened skin he's doing now there with the little hexagons around the edge. He's also got this air stomp move where you can jump up and kind of slam down and take people out at close quarters, which was fun. You do feel like this kind of nano enhanced super soldier in a way that's some of the more prosaic kind of man in Iranistan games like EA's other Medal of Honor title.
So it still is the suit really that brings it for Crysis.
I think so, yeah, and I think as with every aspect of the game, that feels more effectively executed than ever. And it reminded me, I think if you're doing an FPS these days, you need to be doing something like a Dishonored or like eventually Bioshock Infinite, where you've got some creative ideas and stuff for the player to muck around with and explore in terms of powers, because just having guns and a grenade button, I don't think really cuts it anymore. I think people are getting pretty tired of that. He says as a chap plants an explosive on a pipe that you've seen for a million times. Helicopters as well, that was the other theme for me of E3. It was all bows and arrows, helicopter pilots being blown up.
There are a lot of helicopters.
Don't go into the chopper trade, kids, is the message from this footage.